For today's video, I would like to talk about why Goku and Vegeta ended up being so much more powerful than all the other Saiyans, and how we can even throw Broly into the mix. Now, this is kind of just a theory of mine. Now, nothing is confirmed or proven by canon or anything. Now, this is just my thoughts as to why they got to the point that they are, and they have God Ki, and they can fight with gods of destructions, and just they've gotten so powerful compared to all the other Saiyans that existed, and I kind of want to go over why I think that is. So with a little bit of backstory when it comes to the Saiyans, Saiyans were taken over by King Cold and the Cold Force, and they were basically forced to take over planets, and then they would sell them to the highest bidder, and then basically all the profit would go to King Cold. Now the Saiyans were kind of enslaved in a way to King Cold, since King Cold showed up. He was a badass. He saw the potential in the Saiyans. He knew that they were warriors and they could fight. So he used that to his advantage so King Cold could reap the benefits of the Saiyans. Now we all know that the Saiyans are a proud warrior race, as stated by Vegeta like a million times throughout the series. So basically, the Saiyans would go from planet to planet in squads, and they would just show up, they would take over the entire planet, they would enslave all the people or aliens or whatever on the planet, and then, like I said, they would sell the planet to the highest bidder, and then they would make profit from that. Now, when they did this, they had groups of multiple Saiyans. They probably did it in like groups of 4 or 5 or however many it would take, and they had weapons and they had vehicles, and they were backed by the Cold Force at the time, which eventually became the Frieza Force. So they had armor, and they had a strong military presence. So these planets didn't stand a chance, because it was just a planet on its own versus like this entire giant force that was just invading them with all kinds of technology, and they were warriors to begin with. Like, Saiyans could fly, and then if it came down to it, they could turn into great apes. So these planets didn't stand much of a chance at all. Now, I think this has to do with why Goku and Vegeta ended up being the way that they were. When it comes down to it, I think it's Frieza's fault. If Frieza wouldn't have killed off the Saiyans, then Goku and Vegeta wouldn't have grown up to be who they are now. When you look at the Saiyans, like I said, they took over planets and they did it in groups. And if for some reason they were ever in trouble, they could rely on their teammates, their squad mates. They could call in reinforcements if they had to. They never really had to rely on themselves. They never were really pushed that hard, because they could always just call in backup or use weapons. They were never in a situation where it was like fight to the death, and then they survive, and then they keep going back. So yeah, the Saiyans were pretty strong to begin with. Like it's been said, they're a warrior race, and they've evolved over time to be warriors. But they never were really pushed, because like I said, they probably just wiped everybody out. They would never had anyone oppose a threat to them other than Frieza and his army, which they were too afraid to attack, and they would probably lose because King Cold and Frieza were just way stronger than the Saiyans. So let's fast forward to Goku and Vegeta and to Broly. Now, Vegeta and Broly were gifted at birth, like they had extra potential and whatever, so that might have something to do with it, but I'm going to just throw that away. I don't think that has too much to do with things, but it definitely helps. So let's look at Goku. So Goku went off to Earth. When he crashed, he had no idea he was a Saiyan or any of that stuff, and all through Dragon Ball, he had fight after fight after fight, and he learned how to fight, and he did have the help of others, and he trained, and he was brought up as a fighter, and just time and time again, he was just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Same with Vegeta. Now, in between the Broly movie and the events of Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta obviously was with Raditz and Nappa, and they probably went off on adventures, and they fought other creatures and stuff through the years. So Vegeta had the help of his squad. By that point, they were only as strong as like regular Saiyans. Now, Vegeta was obviously a little bit stronger, since he had that potential to be stronger, since he was a gifted child, but they grew up being fighters, that little group of Raditz and Nappa and Vegeta. That's why when they went to Earth, they were going to just completely annihilate everything. And then when you look back at Goku, like I said, Goku had all the events of Dragon Ball, and then when Raditz showed up, Raditz beat the crap out of Goku. Like, they were stuck, pinned against the wall. Goku, it was like fight to the death, and he did end up dying. So Goku was pushed to the very limits. Now, Goku eventually was brought back to life, and then he had to grow from that experience. Not very many Saiyans had the opportunity to come back to life and then continue fighting. So Goku got that Zenkai boost and he got more powerful. And then fast forward a little bit, and Goku was trained by King Kai. No other Saiyans were trained by a Kai before, which is very special. That doesn't happen. So he learned the Kaioken from King Kai, which let him compete with somebody like Vegeta. So him and Vegeta go at it in Dragon Ball Z. They fight pretty much to almost death. Vegeta gets the crap kicked out of him and flies away. So they get a Zenkai boost from that. They continue to fight. They keep going. Fast forward to the Frieza saga. They get the crap kicked out of them some more. Goku snaps, eventually becomes Super Saiyan. You guys know the story. They've been through so much combat and stuff through the years. They've been pushed to the death so many times. And they've had chances to go into the Room of Spirit and Time, or the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, whichever one you want to call it. No other Saiyans had that opportunity. If these Saiyans would have been through similar stuff like Goku and Vegeta were over the years, I think, to put any Saiyan through that situation, I think they would have gotten more powerful. Let's go over and look at Broly. Broly had to fight to survive every single day on that planet for years. And Broly was already a gifted child, so Broly got tons of experience and probably got a few Zenkai boosts from almost dying day after day after day after day to these giant monsters. Now, when you compare them to all those other Saiyans who were in squads, who just went to these planets and wiped them out and called in reinforcements, and they had blasters and all kinds of stuff that they could rely on, they were never really pushed or had to train to that extent because they had all these gadgets and they had scouters and they had tons of stuff where they could easily just out-militarize all these planets so that they didn't have to get more powerful. And then you fast forward to the Android saga where they had a tough time then, and then you fast forward to the Cell saga and they almost died then, and Goku even did die. And then they had trouble in the Buu saga. And then they're the point in Super now where they're being trained by Whis, who is an angel. No other Saiyans would have that opportunity. So yeah, I think it's kind of obvious, to be honest, but I think the reason that they're so much more powerful than everybody else is just because they've had the chance to do all this stuff. Even if you look at the Broly movie, they mention how weak Goku was as a kid compared to Vegeta and Broly, and then you can see that gap. If it wasn't for Raditz showing up first, Vegeta would have easily killed Goku and everybody. But because Raditz was there to give them time to prepare, and then he had training from King Kai, that's what let him fight against Vegeta. Vegeta was just miles ahead of Goku at the time. But because they keep surviving time and time again, and they keep having to be pushed to the limit time and time again, and they've been to the brink of death so many times, and they spent years in the time chamber just training every single day. None of these other Saiyans do that. So yeah, that is basically my opinion and my theory on the whole situation. I think almost every Saiyan, if they would have trained and been through as much as Goku and Vegeta, let's say there's just tons of time chambers on planet Vegeta, and all these Saiyans trained for years and years and years, I think they could have all been very, very powerful because it's in their DNA. I don't think it's just a coincidence that Goku and Vegeta and Broly all got powerful, especially Goku, since he wasn't a gifted child. He just had a hard life, and he just has been through so much to get to where he is. So just imagine if all these Saiyans were pushed that hard, or had a reason to try to be pushed that hard, and they didn't have weapons and stuff to rely on. And then imagine if Frieza didn't blow up planet Vegeta. Everything would have been completely altered. But that is just my opinion on the situation. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Saiyans, if they all trained as hard as Goku and Vegeta, that they'd be way more powerful than what they are? How powerful do you think just an average, ordinary Saiyan could get? Let's use Bardock, for example. How strong do you think Bardock could get if he actually trained? Or King Vegeta? Or just anybody? Or Nappa? Or Raditz? But like I said, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are new here, and I will talk to you guys next time.